The galaxy thought it had seen everything. For centuries, the Great Council of Stars had mapped every nebula, charted every wormhole, and catalogued every known species. Wars had been fought, alliances forged, borders drawn and redrawn. The Council's fleets patrolled the void like watchful shepherds. But one night, on the edge of a quiet, forgotten sector, something emerged from the dark that would shatter everything they believed. The outpost of 7 wasn't remarkable. A listening post tucked against the orbit of a barren world its crew had grown used to silence. Static hum, empty space, days blurred together, years ticked past. Until the alarm screamed. Unidentified mass signature, the technician barked, her frills quivering as she leaned over the console. Sector 12, no transponder, it's huge. The commander, an old whose scales dulled with age, lumbered forward. Define huge. She swallowed. Sir, bigger than a dreadnought. Power readings are impossible. Core output exceeds Council safety protocols by a factor of, she checked again, her voice breaking, 10. The command deck froze. Nothing in Council space could generate that kind of energy. Nothing they knew of anyway. The commander gave a low hiss. Send the signal, alert the Council, and for the stars' sake, keep tracking it. On the holographic display, the anomaly flared brighter and brighter until, suddenly, it wasn't an anomaly anymore. It was a ship. No one on 7 had ever seen anything like it. It wasn't clumsy like the blocky dreadnoughts of the. It wasn't ornate like the crystalline cruisers of the. This vessel was sleek, sharp-edged, like a blade forged to cut the very fabric of space itself. And massive. 3 kilometers long at least, its dark hull drank in starlight, broken only by faint lines that pulsed with an eerie blue glow, like veins carrying liquid fire. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the sensors officer whispered the words that would ripple across the galaxy. It's not in our database, not in any database. An unknown warship, appearing out of the forbidden dark zone, outclassing everything the Council had ever built. The galaxy had just changed. Within hours, the Council convened an emergency summit. Representatives of 22 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Prime, their voices clashing like storms. It could be a weapon, shouted the scaled delegate, slamming his clawed fist on the table. Or an ark, mused the feathers shivering with unease. A remnant of some forgotten civilization. We must destroy it before it reaches inhabited sectors, roared another. Through the chaos, the elder moderator raised his staff. Peace, we will not descend into panic. We will observe, send a fleet, establish contact. We must know who they are and what they want. And so the Council's 7th Expeditionary Fleet was dispatched. A dozen warships bristling with weapons, their banners shining bright. But deep inside, every captain knew they were sailing into the unknown. The first encounter happened in the shadow of a gas giant. The unknown vessel drifted there, silent, waiting, as if it had chosen the spot deliberately. The Council fleet emerged from FTL in formation, weapons hot but restrained. This is Admiral of the Galactic Council, came the hail, voice translated into a dozen tongues. Identify yourself, or we will treat your silence as hostility. Static. Then a voice, calm, steady. This is Admiral United Terran Navy, commanding officer of the Dauntless. We acknowledge your presence. The alien crews exchanged glances. The translation came through smooth, but the words themselves, United Terran Navy, meant nothing. Admiral replied, struggling to mask his unease. You are in Council space without authorization. State your purpose. There was a pause, then voice again, measured, deliberate. Our purpose is simple. We have returned. The bridge of every Council ship went still. Returned? Returned from where? Before could demand answers, the Dauntless moved. It didn't accelerate like a normal vessel. It folded. One moment it hovered by the gas giant, the next it was sitting less than 10 kilometers off the Council flagship's bow, without any FTL signature, without any warning. Council officers scrambled, alarms blaring, weapons locked but no one dared fire. His voice came again, calm as ever. Your propulsion systems are primitive, effective but crude. Allow me to demonstrate ours. The Dauntless vanished again, reappeared on the far side of the fleet. Then above them, then below, each jump seamless, instantaneous. The display screens couldn't keep up. In seconds, the Dauntless had danced rings around the entire 7th Fleet. When it settled back into position, not a single Council ship had managed to react. Admiral's voice carried the faintest trace of amusement. "Do you understand?" The Council fleet had faced pirates, rebels, even rogue AI swarms. They had never faced anything like this. Still, Admiral tried to hold ground. "Your technology does not intimidate us," he declared. "The Council commands thousands of ships. You are one." Was silent for a moment. Then, "Numbers mean little when you cannot even touch your opponent." And with that, the Dauntless fired. Not at the fleet, not at the flagship. At the asteroid belt nearby. A single lance of blue-white energy leapt from its hull, slicing through kilometers of rock in an instant. Dozens of asteroids vaporized, detonating in silent blossoms of molten debris. The shockwave rattled Council ships even from light minutes away. The message was clear. If they had wanted to, the humans could have erased the fleet. His voice returned, colder now. "We are not here to conquer, but neither will we be threatened. Stand down or stand aside." The Council officers stared at their displays, horror creeping in. This was no lost colony, no forgotten ark, no drifting relic. This was a warship, a human warship. And humanity had just announced its return to the stars. The Council didn't sleep that night. Across the galaxy, comms relays burned hot as the transmission spread, an unidentified warship, human, unstoppable. Every government, every admiral, every merchant guild whispered the same word, Terran. But none of them knew what it truly meant. Back in the Great Chamber on Prime, the Council convened again. This time, panic had replaced outrage. "Their vessel outmaneuvered 12 ships in less than a minute," cried the delegate, feathers standing on end. "Their energy output breaks every safety threshold we've established," hissed the representative. "No ship should exist with that kind of power." "They are aggressive, dangerous. They must be contained immediately," shouted another. The moderator slammed his staff for silence. "We will not panic. We will not bow to intimidation. If they are one, we will send 50. If they are a fleet, we will send 500. The Council commands unity, and unity is strength." But even as he spoke, doubt rippled through the chamber. Because deep down, every delegate remembered the footage. The Dauntless slicing asteroids apart like paper, teleporting through space like it owned reality itself. Still, the vote was cast. A show of force would be sent. Humanity would learn its place. The fleet that launched days later dwarfed the 7th Expeditionary. Nearly 100 warships, cruisers, and dreadnoughts gleaming under starlight, their combined firepower enough to scorch a planet bare. At their head, Admiral, a legend among the Council's admirals. A warrior who had crushed rebellions, outmaneuvered pirate kings, and carried scars from battles that would fill history books. If anyone could humble this human warship, it was. They found the Dauntless waiting, as if it had known they were coming. It drifted calmly near the edge of a star's corona, its hull reflecting golden fire. No escort, no allies, just one ship against 100. Hailed them at once, voice booming with authority. "Terran vessel, this is Admiral of the Galactic Council. You stand in violation of Council space and law. Power down your engines, surrender your weapons, and submit to inspection. Fail, and you will be destroyed." For a moment, silence. Then Admiral's voice answered, calm, steady, like a teacher addressing unruly students. "You mistake our presence. We are not intruders. We are survivors. And if you seek to destroy us, then you seek your own destruction." The bridge of flagship rippled with nervous glances. No one had ever spoken to the Council like this. "Enough," growled. "Weapons hot, fire at will." The void erupted. Hundreds of beams, missiles, and plasma bolts screamed toward the Dauntless. The fury of the Council unleashed in one cataclysmic wave. And then nothing. The weapons never touched. Meters away from the Terran hull, every shot flickered out, swallowed by a shimmering distortion in space. Missiles froze mid-flight, their warheads inert. Plasma bolts unraveled into harmless light. A shield, but not like any shield the Council had ever seen. It didn't absorb, it didn't deflect, it simply erased. On's bridge, the silence was deafening. Then spoke. "Your strength is admirable, but your weapons are outdated." The Dauntless moved. Not to attack, but to demonstrate. It raised its main cannon again, but this time not at an asteroid. Instead, it targeted the star itself. Every council officer on every bridge screamed in protest, but it was too late. A lance of pure energy speared into the star's corona. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the star rippled. A solar flare, massive, controlled, impossibly precise, erupted on command, arcing outward like a whip. It stretched thousands of kilometers before collapsing in on itself, perfectly harmless, as if the Terrans had tugged on the very strings of a sun and then let go. Council crews stared in stunned silence. His voice carried through the comms. Do you understand now? Destruction is easy, but control is what makes survival possible. Admiral's claws dug into his chair. His fleet, his 100 ships, suddenly felt like toys facing a god. And yet hadn't fired a single shot at them. That terrified more than any weapon. But the revelations weren't over. The Terrans opened a channel, not just to, but to the entire council chamber on Prime. Appeared, flanked by officers in unfamiliar uniforms, their insignias sharp and disciplined. Council of Stars, said, his tone shifting from warning to weary. You wonder who we are? Let me tell you. We are Terrans. We were born on a world called Earth, a cradle of storms and fire. Our history is written in struggle. For centuries, we fought each other, nations against nations, ideology against ideology. We should have destroyed ourselves. He paused, his eyes steady. But something else came first. The chamber leaned in, the galaxy holding its breath. From the void came predators, machines that consumed entire moons, swarms that drowned worlds in chitin and teeth, beings that bent stars into weapons. For you, they are myths. For us, they were neighbors. A murmur swept through the council. Some scoffed, others whispered. Myths, they thought, legends. But continued undeterred. We fought them for hundreds of years. We bled, we burned, we nearly died as a species. But we learned, we adapted, we endured, and in the end, we survived. The screen shifted, images raw, unfiltered. Gigantic machine husks drifting through space, shattered. Planets with claw marks hundreds of kilometers long. Fleets of black ships torn apart, their wreckage orbiting dead suns. The council chamber fell silent. Because myths weren't supposed to leave evidence. His gaze hardened. You sit in your chamber arguing over borders. We sit at the edge of extinction every day. That is why our technology is beyond yours. That is why our weapons are beyond yours. We had no choice. And now, he leaned forward. Now something worse is coming. We've seen the signs. We've intercepted the signals. The predators we fought before were not the last. They were only the beginning. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some shouted it was lies, a ploy to scare them. Others whispered in terror, realizing the implications. But through it all, his voice cut clear. You can see us as invaders, you can call us threats. But when the true storm arrives, you will call us something else. You will call us allies, or you will call us saviors. On his bridge, the Admiral stared at the screen, claws trembling. For the first time in his career, he felt old, outmatched, out of his depth. The Dauntless had not fired on his fleet. It had not destroyed a single ship. It had simply shown them a glimpse of power and then offered a choice. Allies or enemy? And the Council wasn't ready to decide. The Council chamber did not adjourn in peace. After Admiral's broadcast, the delegates spilled into their private chambers in uproar. Some were shaken, whispering that the Terrans must be telling the truth. No species could fabricate that kind of evidence. Wreckage fields stretching light years, scars on planets too vast to fake. But others, the proud ones, the fearful ones, hissed and screeched. They are liars, spat the delegate. They invent these phantom enemies to justify their weapons. Or worse, hissed a scaled lord, perhaps they were the predators all along. The feathers trembling said quietly, if what they say is true, then the galaxy owes them its survival, and we owe them our respect. The chamber split into factions that night, and factions breed treachery. The betrayal began with whispers. A coalition of worlds, led by warlords and backed by shadowy guilds, decided that the humans could not be trusted. Too advanced, too unpredictable, too dangerous. They say they do not want war, the general rumbled to his peers. Then let us test their truth. Let us strike unseen. If they are what they claim, we will know. And if they are bluffing, He let the words hang like a blade. So the plan was set. 3 fleets of stealth cruisers, stripped of transponders, painted in void black composites, were dispatched into the dark. Their mission: shadow the Dauntless, strike at its blind spots, overwhelm it in silence. It was the Council's most secret operation in centuries. Not even the Moderator knew. But Admiral already did. The humans detected them days before the first fleet arrived. On the bridge of the Dauntless, holograms lit up with faint signatures, distortions in particle streams, anomalies in background radiation. To Council scanners, they were ghosts. To Terran eyes, they were beacons. "They think they're invisible," muttered Commander, shaking his head. Admiral allowed himself the faintest smile. "Then let's teach them what invisibility means." He gave the order. The trap was sprung near a pulsar. The stealth fleets crept closer, weapons primed, their captains smug with certainty. Then suddenly, darkness. Every system on every ship flickered. Lights dimmed, weapons froze, engines coughed into silence. The captains shouted in panic, pounding consoles, screaming orders, but their ships no longer obeyed them. Because the Dauntless wasn't firing weapons, it was rewriting code. In seconds, the entire stealth armada was dead in the water, trapped, silent, powerless. And then the humans spoke. Every comm screen across the fleets lit up with Admiral's face. "You came to test us, to strike at us in shadows. We could have destroyed you. We did not. Instead, we chose mercy." The alien captains glared, some in rage, others in shame. Continued, voice steady. "Look at your ships." Panels lit up across their bridges, systems rebooted but differently, faster, cleaner, stronger. Weapon outputs increased by 30%. Shields recalibrated to withstand triple their normal stress. Engines humming with newfound efficiency. The humans had upgraded them. "You sought to wound us," said, "and we chose to heal you because you are not our enemies. You are children fearful of the dark, and we know that fear. We were children once too." The betrayal had been turned on its head. What should have been a humiliation for the Terrans became a humiliation for the Council. Entire fleets had been rendered helpless, then returned stronger than before, by the very hands they meant to strike down. And the message was clear. Humanity was so far ahead they could dismantle a fleet without firing a shot, and they could build it back better in minutes. Power tempered with restraint. Mercy sharper than any blade. But even mercy has limits. Because Wile's voice echoed through the fleets, a new signal bled into the comms. Not from the Council, not from the Dauntless. From beyond. At first it was static, a low hum that made scales shiver and feathers tremble. Then it became patterns, pulses, a rhythm too deliberate to be random. Council officers stared at their screens in horror as translations crawled across displays. "We are coming. We are hungry. We remember you." The Council delegates gasped, the nearly fainted. Even the proud and defiant lowered their eyes. Because if the translation was correct, someone out there was calling to the humans, not with diplomacy, with hatred. His expression darkened. "They have found us again." The Council chamber demanded answers. What are they? How long until they arrive? Is this some trick of yours? Faced them all with the calm of a man who had lived this nightmare before. "They are what we told you of, the swarms, the harvesters, the eaters of suns, call them what you will. They have followed us across the void as they always do. And when they arrive, they will not negotiate, they will consume." The chamber erupted again, but this time it was not with arrogance, it was with terror. Because for the first time, the Council began to believe. Admiral, the warrior who had once sworn to humble the Terrans, stood in silence on the Council floor. At last he spoke, voice heavy with dread. "I have fought 100 battles. I have lost ships, comrades, blood, but never have I felt like prey." He turned to, bowing his head in a gesture no one had ever seen from him. "If what you say is true, then perhaps we have no choice but to follow you." Some hissed, others shouted, but none could deny the truth. The galaxy was not ready. Its fleets were fractured, its species divided. And against a storm like the one the humans described, division was death. Didn't gloat, he didn't smirk, he simply nodded. "We do not seek followers, we seek allies. We do not want your submission, we want your strength. because what is coming cannot be faced alone. But still, some in the council resisted. Pride dies hard, fear dies harder. And even as extended his hand, shadows moved in halls, spies whispered, plots formed. Because there were still those who thought, if we cannot destroy the Terrans, perhaps we can control them. The galaxy teetered on the edge, between unity and civil war, between fear and survival. And in the distance, faint but growing louder, the alien signal pulsed again. We are coming. The galaxy stood at a crossroads. The betrayal had failed. The fleets sent in secret to destroy the Terrans had been humbled without a shot fired, rebooted, upgraded, and handed back like toys to ashamed children. But before the council could decide what to do with this humiliation, the new signal had arrived. We are coming. 3 words that silenced the chamber more effectively than any weapon. The council summoned an emergency summit, the kind reserved for extinction-level events. Representatives of every major species gathered in the crystalline amphitheater on Prime. No longer was this about property borders or tariffs. No longer was this about pride. This was survival. At the center of the chamber, a single figure stood tall, Admiral. Flanked by his officers, his uniform immaculate, his voice carrying not arrogance but gravity. You've heard their signal. You felt the chill in your bones. You ask if it is a trick. It is not. They are real, they are ancient, and they are hungry. The chamber trembled with whispers, but pressed on. You call us invaders, you call us a threat. But the truth is simpler. We are refugees. We fought them before. We thought we had won. But now they are coming again, and if you do not stand with us, you will not stand at all. Then came the proof. Holograms flickered to life around the chamber. A battlefield with fire, where broken human fleets drifted like grave markers. A star system gone dark, its sun snuffed out by a machine lattice that harvested its energy. An entire planet reduced to ash, its crust riddled with holes like bite marks. Gasps filled the chamber. Some delegates turned away, others wept openly. These are not stories, said. These are memories. We buried billions of our own to buy the years you have enjoyed in peace, and now that peace is ending. The council moderator, an elder whose voice had presided over centuries of order, rose slowly. You ask us to believe, Admiral. You ask us to ally with a species we barely know. And yet, what choice do we have? The chamber erupted in debate. The delegates hissed in fury, unwilling to bow to Terran power. They spoke of destiny, of guardians sent by fate, merchant guilds worried about trade, militants worried about pride. Hours stretched into days. Votes were cast, arguments raged. Some demanded the Terrans submit to Council command. Others insisted the Council submit to Terran command. But Admiral cut through it all with a single sentence. We do not want command. We want cooperation. We are not your rulers. We are your shield. In the end, the vote passed, narrowly. The Council agreed. An alliance would be formed. Humanity would not be treated as subjects, nor as masters, but as partners in survival. And so the pact was written, the first true unification of the galaxy in centuries. What followed was nothing short of miraculous. Human engineers boarded alien ships, weaving Terran technology into their systems. Energy weapons upgraded, shields recalibrated, FTL drives tuned for precision jumps. In return, alien fleets shared their numbers, their supply lines, their experience in theaters humanity had never known. For the first time, a warlord fought side by side with a sky prince. For the first time, the Council fleets drilled not against each other, but together. And always at the heart of it, the Dauntless, a single Terran warship that had humbled 100 and now led thousands. But even unity did not erase fear. Because the signal grew louder. Every week new bursts, clearer, sharper. We are coming. We see you. We remember Earth. The galaxy shuddered, humanity steeled itself. And Admiral reminded them all. When they arrive, there will be no council. No Terran, there will only be life, and extinction, choose life. The day finally came when the outermost listening posts went dark. Entire sectors swallowed by static. Patrol ships vanished without a trace. Refugees whispered of shadows blotting out suns. The council turned to, and simply nodded. We've been waiting for this day. We've prepared all our lives. and now together so have you. The galaxy's fleets assembled, millions strong, united in a way none thought possible. And as the void began to ripple, as the first enemy signatures flickered on the edge of sensors, Admiral spoke the words that would echo through history. Today we are not Terrans. We are not. Today we are the galaxy, and today we fight. The story pauses there, because what comes next is another saga. But history remembers that first contact not as the day the galaxy found a new enemy, but the day it found its shield. Humanity. Final reflection and lesson. What made the galaxy speechless wasn't just Terran weapons or impossible technology. It was mercy. It was restraint. The choice to not crush the Council when betrayal was discovered. The choice to upgrade their enemies' fleets instead of erasing them. Because true strength isn't destruction, it's knowing you don't need to use it. And that's why when the galaxy speaks of first contact with humans, they don't remember fear. They remember awe. If humanity really did reveal itself like this, far beyond the galaxy's powers, but merciful, choosing alliance over domination, do you think we'd be remembered as saviors or feared as tyrants? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story, do me a favor. Smash that like button so more people see it. Subscribe if you want more epic HFY tailies, where humanity surprises the universe. And share this video with a friend. Who knows, might just become a fan of the genre too. Until next time, stay curious, stay human, and never forget, in the darkest times we are our own shield.